This is Regained Wellness Podcast with Jamie Logie, episode 40, A Healthy Thyroid, A Healthier Life, an interview with Andrea Beaman. Hey guys, what's happening? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Jamie Logie. I run regainedwellness.com. This is the Regained Wellness Podcast. Thank you for joining me today. Hope everyone had a good weekend. I'm recording on a Monday. Yesterday was Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. I gave my mom some flowers. I was a good son. And I also mentioned that I thought the fact that I was born makes her technically a mother, so I should be getting some form of present too. But she ended up throwing a sponge at my head. But we got through it, so everything's good. So I have an amazing guest today, Andrea Beaman, who breaks down the whole issue around thyroid health and why a healthy thyroid is so important and how it affects your overall health and wellness, as well as tips on your general health and how to get started if you're new to nutrition or you're not sure how to cook or how to prepare stuff or what foods you should be eating. And Andrea was a contestant on the first season of Top Chef, so she's got some great insights into overall health, but as well as just like practical approaches in how to arm yourself with, tips for cooking or shopping or the best foods you should be looking for, everything. So she gives a well-rounded approach to your overall health and wellness here, as well as real specifics on the thyroid issue. So before we jump into it, I just want to read a review of the podcast that was on iTunes that I really appreciated. It's from Amanda Ashley 720, who says, "This podcast is by far my favorite. The fitness and nutrition tips are unique and well explained. Jamie is a great host with his pop culture references. It is also extremely refreshing to listen to a quality Canadian podcast." Well, thank you, Amanda Ashley 720. Not related to her or anything. It's not my mom hiding or whatever. So thank you for that review. If you like this show, please feel free to leave a rating and review on iTunes. It helps the show get exposed a little better. More people get to see it. And Amanda Ashley, I'll send you 720 high fives somehow. So let's get right to it with the amazing Andrea Beaman. My guest today is Andrea Beaman, who is a naturally renowned holistic health coach and natural food chef, a recipient of the Natural Gourmet Institute's Award of Excellence in Health Supportive Education and a Health Leadership Award from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. She has been featured on Top Chef, The View, CBS News, Fox News, Emerald Live, and Martha Stewart's Whole Living Radio show, and now on the Regained Wellness show. Better than all those combined. So welcome, Andrea.
I love that intro.
Yeah. So a little bit on, like, we're talking about thyroid and everything with that today. Tell us just a bit of your background and your story. And I believe you were diagnosed with hyperthyroidism. So like, before we get to like thyroid specifics, what's your story, your background?
Well, yeah, almost 20 years ago, I was diagnosed with hyperthyroid, plus I had a goiter. So that's an enlarged thyroid. Like you see people, they have those necks that stick out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me. Plus it was hyper, which meant it was producing too much hormone. And I was suffering from anxiety, panic attacks, heart palpitations. My hair was really brittle and falling out. And I had all of the symptoms of hypothyroid, which was I was gaining weight. I couldn't lose weight no matter what I did. Nails were splitting. Hormonal imbalances. I mean, I had so much going on. And at that time, like almost 20 years ago, the doctors had recommended radioactive iodine. I mean, They're still recommending it today. But they recommended the radioactive iodine to destroy my thyroid. And then they suggested that I be on like a thyroid medication, hormone replacement for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. And it sounded really dramatic to me. I was like, I really don't want to destroy my thyroid with radiation and then be on medication, because at that time I was only 28 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, listen, doc, I said, I think that my diet and my lifestyle is total crap. I said, I think I need to change what I'm doing. And the doctor said, your diet and your lifestyle really have nothing to do with your thyroid condition.
Jeez.
And I know. And I said, well, I understand that you understand that, but I said, I'm going to try a different way. And I left the doctor's office. Instead of radiating my thyroid, I changed my diet and my lifestyle. And within 4 months of improving my diet and my lifestyle from what it was, I noticed immediate improvements. I was sleeping better. I had more energy during the day. I wasn't crashing on my desk in the middle of the afternoon at the TV. It was just so many things were changing. So then I went back to the doctor like 4 months later, and she confirmed for me. She said, well, your thyroid hormone levels in your blood are changing, but they're still not normal. You have to take this medication. And I said, listen, doc, I said, I'm feeling better than I have in years. Plus, I had lost like 18 pounds.
Wow.
Oh, I was like, I'm going to keep doing exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then I changed doctors. And for the next 2 years, I went for periodic blood tests with a new doctor each time. And each blood test showed that my thyroid was in a different state. First, it was hyper. And then it was hypo, and then it was Hashimoto's, and then it kept bouncing all over the place. And it took probably 18 months for my goiter to disappear entirely, and then 2 years for my thyroid to become normal. And, I'm a firm believer that we literally are what we eat, and that's what I teach my students and my clients, that they can really change the quality of their blood and change the quality of their cells and their health by changing the quality of their food. So that's my story. That's how I got started. I got started through sickness and disease.
Amazing. Wow. So give us just like a quick crash course on what the thyroid is. Everyone's aware of it, but I think a lot of people aren't really sure how big a role it plays in our overall health. So if you can just break it down quick.
Yeah. In a nutshell, your thyroid is your wake up. It's your wake up gland. It tells your body, wake up, start producing energy, and let's get this body moving. Or it says, go to sleep, time to sleep. Also, it's like, okay, store fat, right? It's talking to your body, and it's telling your body what to do with the cells. Let's get these cells moving. They need oxygen. Actually, they need glucose. Let's get some glucose going. So your thyroid is talking to all of your cells in your whole body and telling them, okay, let's go. Let's go. It's time to get up. Yeah. It's time to do these things. So we can't function properly without a healthy thyroid.
So what are the roles then so there's the different thyroid hormones, like the thyroid stimulating hormone and T4 and T3. How are they involved in the whole process of our health and in keeping the thyroid working properly?
Well, the thyroid stimulating hormone is what it's doing exactly what it says. It's stimulating your thyroid to start producing hormone, right? So there are so many different, like if you have hyperthyroid, you're producing too much hormone. Mm-hmm. If you have hypothyroid, you're not producing enough hormone. If you have Hashimoto's or Graves, those are actually not stemming from the thyroid. They're usually stemming from the gut. And those are autoimmune conditions. So that's where your cells are attacking the thyroid, and it's your thyroid is under attack. So, we have all of these different hormones. They're all playing a role. And a lot of people confuse Hashimoto's and Graves with hyper and hypo, but hyperthyroid or Graves can lead to hyperthyroid, and Hashimoto's can lead to hypothyroid. Wow. So they're totally connected. They're not separate. Like in Western medicine, we look at the thyroid and its conditions as separate entities. But it's not necessarily the case, because one condition can lead to another condition, because we're completely connected. Mm-hmm. It's just, what is the body doing with those hormones? Why is it not communicating properly? What's happening on the endocrine system that it's sending mixed messages?
What are some of the differences then in the symptoms that come from either hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism? How do they differ?
Well, they're very similar, actually, but they do differ in the fact that people with hyperthyroid will have a tendency to be more hyper, literally. They'll have heart palpitations, anxiety, higher stress levels. And people with hypo will have a tendency to be more sluggish, more exhausted, can't get up and go, where the hyperthyroid person is like, okay, let's go, keep going. Like they're ready to move 100 miles an hour. And the hypo person is going, please get me a cab. I can't even walk a block.
Get me an Uber.
Yes, get me an Uber.
So it's a whole big topic, but what are some of the things that are damaging the thyroids from foods to environmental issues, what are the big culprits in causing the damage?
Oh, Jamie, you got 100 hours?
I know.
100 hours, but I'll give you I'll give you a quick overview. The first thing is, like, I guess in the 70s, we started to put soy into the food supply. And soy is a very healthy food traditionally, but it was fermented and it was processed in a specific way. So in the Orient, when they used soy, it was in miso and shoyu and natto, and these was all fermented soybeans. And the fermentation process would actually deactivate the anti-nutrients that are in the bean that could actually inhibit the thyroid. So when I say anti-nutrients, those are just nutrients that can inhibit the uptake of iodine, inhibit zinc absorption. So the way that the Asian populations, or the Eastern people had traditionally eaten soy was very healthy.
Yeah.
And then in America, we said, okay, well, the soybean is healthy. Let's put it into the entire food supply. But we bypassed the entire aging and fermentation process that made that soybean healthy, and we put it directly into the food supply. We have soy dogs, soybeans, isolated soy proteins. You look in those healthy snack bars in the health food store, they all contain isolated soy proteins. They contain soy oils. They contain soy everything. So we probably for about 40 years now have been eating an unhealthy version of soy that can inhibit the uptake of iodine and destroy the thyroid. And that's just one thing. There are many, many things. So a lack of fat will also stop the thyroid from functioning properly. The endocrine system, all of our hormones are made from cholesterol. Mm-hmm. And if we don't have good quality cholesterol, your liver is creating it all the time. The liver is processing cholesterol, it's breaking down cholesterol, it's building cholesterol, it's doing all that stuff. And then we have these hormones that are created from cholesterol. So when we go on these, and this is why more women have thyroid disease than men, we go on a no-fat, non-fat, low-fat, skim diet, we're not getting the fat to support the building of these hormones. So this is another problem, right? So we put in soy in the 70s. We took out fat in the 70s. We stopped eating protein, good quality protein. We took out egg yolks, right? We did all of these things that will actually cause an imbalance in the body. So it's of no surprise to me that we have rampant thyroid disease running wild across America and around the world as well now, because everybody follows America. They follow our lead. And then another thing, Jamie, and this is, like you walk down the street, like you said, you're from Canada. I'm in New York. When I walk down the street, I look at people and their faces are attached to their cell phones. Literally, they're just walking and talking with the cell phone. Now, this is modern technology. The cell phone is a fantastic technology. But one of the things that the cell phone does is it emits low levels of non-ionizing radiation. Now, low levels of non-ionizing radiation do not cause mutagenic cells, right? It doesn't cause cancer, but what it does do is it disrupts the functioning of the cells. Yeah. So one of the ways that modern medicine destroys the thyroid is with RAI, which is radioactive iodine. So here we are holding this machinery that emits low levels of non-ionizing radiation, which disrupts the cells, and we're holding it right on the side of our face. If you hold up your cell phone right now, for those of you that are listening, hold it up right now, you'll see that it is in direct alignment with your thyroid. So this means the amount of radiation that we're exposed to on a daily basis means that we actually have to increase the amount of iodine that we're eating or in our food supply in some way, because our thyroid's not going to function properly. It's going to be disrupted on every turn. And look, right now I'm sitting in front of my computer. The computer is also emitting low levels of non-ionizing radiation. Yeah. So we sit in front of these things all day long. What is directly in front of this computer? My chest, my heart, my thyroid, my mind. So this is, if you look deeply into the endocrine system, we're talking about a system that is going haywire because we're getting all of these low levels of radiation in the body. So the body goes into protective mode. It's trying to protect itself. Here we are sitting and doing our work, and the body's going, whoa, 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 I'm getting attacked. I'm getting attacked all day. So this is another reason. So I'm not telling people not to use their cell phones, and I'm not telling people not to use their computers, because we need to be in the world, right? Unless you're going to go live on the top of a mountain with no contact with anyone else, right? You're going to need to have these technologies. But what you can do is get outside. Get outside, get around nature, get around trees, rocks, earth, because all of this helps to deactivate a lot of that negative stuff that we come in contact with, which is through the technology that we're exposed to. Also, like I live in New York, and the subway system is running underneath the ground, right? So I know that I have to get into Central Park, because just getting outside in the city, I'm getting constant. I'm sure that some of your people have seen an acupuncture chart, like you've seen acupuncture charts, right?
Yeah.
And on the bottom of the foot is a very, very important point to our proper functioning in the kidneys and the adrenals and the entire endocrine system. And it's a kidney 1 point, and it's on the bottom of the foot. So that point needs to be in contact with the earth. But here I am living in New York City, and when I put my little foot down in contact, if I'm on a New York City street, I'm getting a lot of electrical energy. Vibration into my feet that's going up into my entire endocrine system. What's that going to do for my stress levels?
Right.
I'm going to be haywire. So I make sure on a daily basis, no matter what's going on, that I get into one of the city parks. And every city around the world has a park somewhere that has trees and has earth. And I would suggest you get in there, and people call it earthing. It's just we're actually supposed to be connected to the planet that we're living on, yeah. Right? So, take off your shoes. In the wintertime, you could leave your shoes on. You're still going to get that good vibration from the earth into your feet. It's best, of course, if you could just attach your foot actually to the earth and walk around a little bit barefoot. Did I answer your question? Did I go off on a tangent?
No, that's perfect. Because Andrea and I were just talking before we started recording. Like, I've spent a lot of time in New York, and Central Park, I mean, besides being a big tourist spot, it's one of those things, like, you do have to get away from the city. Like, you're talking, like, you're walking out into the street, and you're walking in cement and electricity everywhere, and you're trying not to get hit by a city bike, and you get into Central Park, and there's pockets of it that you have no idea you're even in a city. Yeah. And that is the benefit. Like, we do live in these urban industrialized areas, but like you said, everywhere has somewhere you can escape to. And that's and New York, one of the biggest cities in the world. So you do have that availability of that real earth and that real nature. So that's a good point for everyone. Like, if you live in the countries, yeah, you're all set, but not everyone does that anymore.
Right.
So, just back with the thyroid thing, with people who have had, the removal of a thyroid or the surgeries, what challenges and issues are they facing now after that procedure?
Well, it's. I was actually talking about this morning. Actually, I'll give you a great example. In the 1970s, we were doing tonsillectomies, right?
Yeah.
People would get a sore throat, they'd get inflamed tonsils, and we were like, okay, just take them out, right? Yeah. So we're pulling out all the tonsils throughout the 70s and the 80s. And then, lo and behold, 20 years later, we're like, whoa, okay, the tonsils are part of the immune system. So the people that have had their tonsils taken out in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, they actually have to be more conscious of their immune system, meaning they're going to have more challenges, and they have to be more diligent about really supporting their immune system. So the same thing is happening with thyroidectomies now. In the past 10 years, I just went out the other day for lunch, and sitting across from me is a girl with the scar on her neck. I hear about it more and more. It's like, okay, let's take the thyroid out. It's not functioning properly. So, of course, 20 years from now, we're going to go, well, okay, maybe that wasn't the brightest idea. So what we can do now is, now that the thyroid is gone, remember, it's a warning system. The thyroid is communicating to the rest of the endocrine system. It's saying, okay, speed up. Okay, slow down. Okay, time for rest. Now we have to be more diligent about supporting and nourishing our endocrine system on a deeper level. So you can certainly survive and thrive without a thyroid. You just have to be more careful. Stay away from the electrical technologies as much as possible. Get into a regular sleeping pattern. Eat seasonally. Eat locally. Make sure that you're getting your internal system in harmony with the external environment around you, meaning I know that things are available in the grocery store all year round, but it may not be the right food for your body where you live at that time. So, we have to be a little more diligent with getting the body in alignment, and that means in harmony. And that'll help to nourish and support the endocrine system.
Yeah. Man, what a terrible decade the 70s was. Not just bell bottoms and bad hair, but like the more exposed that way. You touched on this. We were talking about like the hormone levels and everything, and in regards with women, can you talk a bit about the danger? Obviously, we've been on this bigger, low fat, almost no fat diet, kind of coming out of the 60s, 70s and onwards. And so can you talk about that issue and how that pertains to women per se, and just with the hormone issue in general?
Oh my gosh. I mean, a no-fat, low-fat, non-fat diet was probably one of the most dangerous things that we've done with our health.
Yeah.
If you think about the brain is coated in a sheath of cholesterol. It's literally in fat.
Yeah.
And the fat helps to protect the cells. It helps to protect the integrity of the cells, right? Mm-hmm. So here we went on these low-fat diets. Our bones became brittle because in order to absorb vitamins A, D, E, and K, these are fat-soluble vitamins. So we took that out, and then what happened with osteoporosis? Skyrocketing. Mm. Now we have all of these cholesterol-lowering medications. What happens when the people go on those? They have higher rates of bone problems as well as memory loss because the brain can't function. The fat gets so low, the cholesterol gets so low that the brain can't function properly. You're losing the integrity of the cells. The entire endocrine system and the nervous system starts to short circuit. So we need fat-soluble vitamins. We need it for our bones. We need it for our endocrine system. We need it for our brain. We cannot function without fat. We can certainly function for a short duration of time, like cleansing, for example. I love cleansing. I'll do it at least once or twice a year. And it's literally, stripping out all the food, giving the digestive system, the ability to rest. Because we never give the digestive system rest. And, at that time, let's do vegan, do vegetables, do just juice. But certainly go back to eating normally and naturally everything that's provided for us so that you can absorb on a deep level. You can't constantly cleanse. And I think that's one of the things that we do is we go on these constant cleanses. We're in constant cleansing mode, or at least people in the health and wellness industry. And then they find that they suffer from adrenal fatigue or complete exhaustion or B12 deficiencies, or their bones start to hurt. It's really amazing what happens when we don't eat fat. Not only that, but we took fat out, and in order to satisfy us, we had to increase sugar to make things more palatable. And when you eat fat, your body is satisfied on a very deep level. So the people that don't eat fat, their tendency is that they're constantly snacking. They're never satisfied because they don't have that deep nutrition, which is fat. It's one of the most nutrient-dense substances that we have available to us. And I'm not talking about like fat from animals that are unnaturally raised and living in factory farms, because that, you're going to absorb that energy on a very deep level. I'm talking about like naturally raised animals living a good life. Eat their fat. Eat the fat from the coconuts, right? We damned the coconuts, right? Also in the 70s and all that stuff. Eat the fat and let it nourish you on a very deep level. And I had one client who didn't eat. Can you believe this? She didn't eat butter in 20 years. In 20 years, and she was suffering from depression and lack of motivation and low energy and osteoporosis. And I encouraged her. I said, listen, that line of thinking about no fat is so old. I said, try a little bit of grass-fed butter. And she called me the following week, and she's like, I don't know what it is. She goes, I think it might be the butter, but I'm feeling happy. I've even been giggling this week. And I'm like, yes, life is better with a little bit of butter. It doesn't mean go crazy and eat a stick, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like we really have to look at the nutritional science that has been shoved down our throat for the past 50 years and question it and really question it and say, what on earth? Is this true?
Yeah. Like it's something I get a lot of people to do, especially like for breakfast or the first meal of the day, is obviously like the breakfast foods we have our meal, like our breakfast center around, tend to be more like desserts, more or less, or whatever. And so when you encourage people to try, healthier fats or good quality proteins in the morning, and then they're like, I'm not hungry 90 minutes later. What's going on? I'm like, okay, now you're getting it, Um,
That's right.
yeah. You touched a little here on this might be a little off topic, but talking about like digestion and the issues, like our digestive system and our intestines have been really kind of compromised over the years, so we're not running efficiently. And I think I heard you talking about at one point on another interview the issue with babies who are brought up on formulas and how they're like our digestive systems are really compromised. Like, hopefully this isn't too off topic, but just wondering your thoughts there.
It's a very important topic. Again, the 1970s, it must have been all the acid. I don't know.
Too much disco.
Right, old disco balls, whatever's going on. But they lost their minds. Like the human is designed to support and nourish the baby, right? Yeah. So we're physically designed. We have these built-in baby bottles, literally, that are going to push this immune stimulating and nourishing supportive liquid into the digestive system. This is mother's milk now. It goes into the digestive system, the brand new baby's digestive system, and it implants into that baby antibodies, immune stimulating, all the nutrients that the little baby needs to support the digestive system. Yeah. And in the 70s, they said, you know what? Nutritional science knows better. We know that this formula that we made is definitely more superior than what's coming out of the breast. So women don't breastfeed anymore, and they just started feeding kids the formula right in the hospital. There was no breastfeeding at all. It was just right to formula. So the kids that were brought up in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, and still to this day, those kids that were brought up without breastfeeding have a weaker immune system. They have higher rates of all diseases across the board. It doesn't mean that they're going to be doomed for, a shorter life or something. It just means that they are compromised. Mm-hmm. I personally was one of those not breastfed babies, so I understand. There is diligence in supporting the digestive system. We really need to, if you look at even our food supply that's been doused with antibiotics, that will also destroy the digestive system. And like every little thing that was coming out in the 80s and the 90s, oh, you got a cold? Here, take an antibiotic. Yeah. So we really abused antibiotics and destroyed the intestinal flora that we did have. For those of you that did breastfeed, or those of you that did get some good flora in there. But there are ways to repopulate your digestive system, like fermented foods, cultured foods, traditional foods, chewing, relaxing when you eat, getting some good bacteria in there, and not eating on the run. Look at us. We've got drive-thrus everywhere. We don't even stop, right, to sit. Yeah. We just drive right through, get food, and keep going. It's not healthy. We're creating a system that is not healthy. And it's funny, if you ever go to a palm reader, when they read your palm and they tell you whether or not you're going to have a long life, they're looking at your digestive line on the palm. Mm-hmm. There's all these lines, just like in acupuncture charts, right? There's all these lines. So if your digestive system is strong, generally, you'll have a stronger, healthier life.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that palm connection there. So talking about some of the different foods people can start incorporating to promote a healthy thyroid, as well as overall better health. What are some of those things? Like, you've touched on a few here already, but what can people start to look to include?
Well, the first thing that I want to tell them to include is whole foods, meaning like traditional whole foods, real food from the earth. Yeah. Right? Get away from like the Wonder Bread and the Twinkies and all the other crap, and just change from like that type of fast food out of a package mentality into like food from the farm. fresh food, seasonal food, local food, clean food, naturally, no pesticides, no herbicides, no fungicides, because that stuff will, also disrupt the functioning of the endocrine system.
Yeah.
So, like food that if you were to go to a farm, oh, there's eggs there. Oh, they're growing vegetables in the garden. There's culinary herbs, right? There's like people think, what can I eat when I eat whole foods? There's so much out there, but they're limited in their perspective. So like whole grains, vegetables, beans, meats, eggs, fats, sea vegetables. There's a huge variety, and they have to be, like in the case of grains, they have to be properly processed. Like a lot of people go to the health and wellness industries, right? And they're like, I'm eating brown rice and I'm eating all these healthy grains and I have digestive problems. Yeah, because those grains also need to be properly processed.
Yeah.
Soaked, sprouted, ground into flour, like traditional processing, made into sourdough. It's funny, when I was first learning about like macrobiotics many, many years ago, it was in the 80s, and we used to have wheat berry salads. Today, you can't get me near a wheat berry salad, right? Because I know that the wheat berry is very hard to digest unless it's been soaked and sprouted and probably ground into flour and made into a sourdough bread.
Yeah.
That's the way I'm going to eat my wheat. And also, like, you look at, oh gosh, like talk about like all of the digestive stuff that's going on. Like there's this whole culture right now that's not eating any grain, right? They're just... Right? But grain has been in the human food supply for thousands of years. The thing that's changed is the way that we process it and the way that we eat it. So there's a lot to look at. There's so much, and oh my gosh, there's just so much food. I love food. I love eating food. I love sharing food and traditional foods. And it's so wonderful to sit down to a meal that was lovingly prepared and locally sourced. It's just a great experience.
So speaking of that, then, obviously you're a high-end chef. You've been on Top Chef. A lot of people are intimidated with cooking, prepping, and obviously, the whole side topic here. What are some ways they can start out with some, simple food preparation, or what are some like easy go-tos for people like that?
Well, one of my favorite things to do is like put everything into one pot, right?
Yeah.
You want to make it easier. Do soups, stews, one-pot meals, right? It doesn't need to be complicated. You could just take a few great ingredients and make something fantastic. Even like we're coming into like in the northeastern United States, we're coming into spring. Mm-hmm. So there's a wide variety of like wonderful salads, right? So I could make a Cobb salad. I could get some local greens with some edible flowers, some scallions. I could boil up some eggs. I could get some locally sourced bacon. For those of you that eat bacon, not everybody likes the pig. I happen to eat pork.
I love the pig.
You love the pig, yeah. So I could make this could be a lunch for me. It could be a Cobb salad with egg, hard-boiled eggs, some of the bacon, some fresh greens, right? Put a beautiful dressing on that. Boom, that's a meal. So, things don't have to be complicated. I actually like things more simple. Even a fried rice. Like if I had any leftover grain, fried rice, a regular rice or a quinoa or anything like that, I would make a fried rice with vegetables because it's one of the easiest things to make. I'd saute some garlic and onion and broccoli and carrots, and then I'd put the rice in. I'd here come eggs, right? Eggs, we took them out in the 70s. We're like, oh, damn those eggs and their cholesterol.
Curse those eggs.
Curse those eggs. I probably eat eggs every day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We're so crazy. So yeah, simple is great.
Those are some awesome tips for kind of newbies in the kitchen. That idea of like soups are beautiful, stews. You describe my go-to meal with the Cobb salad. So like I'll take spinach, like the hard-boiled eggs, some avocado, some free-range chicken, cucumbers, all that sort of stuff, and I'll make my own dressing with olive oil, maybe a bit of balsamic or red wine vinegar, and I try and get people on this sort of meal too, and it's just like they're like, I'm not hungry for hours. Like it can stave you off for the whole day, and the amount of nutrition you get in that one Cobb salad is unbelievable. I think it's one of the king of all meals.
Oh, that's funny. That's great.
Yeah.
I'll come on up to Canada, have a Cobb with you.
Cobb salads everywhere you go up here. We hand them out at the border when you come in. Here's your Cobb salad. So so someone who's brand new to wanting to get healthy and well, they've had Taco Bell for breakfast. Oh. What are just a couple starter tips for these people to get going that's not going to overwhelm them? What are the first couple things you just say to them to get them on the path to health and wellness?
Well, the first thing is, because it is overwhelming, because they're used to going so fast, the first thing that I would tell them is slow down. Slow down and take it easy, because it's going to take some time to learn how to integrate this information into your life.
Yeah.
So try not to stress about it, because the stress will actually destroy their health faster than anything.
Good point.
So just relax. And one thing that I really encourage all of my students and clients to do is to visit a farmer's market. Just visit one, but whether or not they're going to take this on or not, but just visit a farmer's market and see what the farmers are bringing. Are they bringing onions and carrots, fresh vegetables? Are they bringing eggs and bacon to the market, meats, chicken? What are they bringing to the market? And just get to see what food looks like outside of a grocery store and outside of a restaurant, like food in its whole form before it's been processed, so that they can get an idea of what food actually is. And then when they see what it is, it becomes less intimidating, because when they're at the farmer's market, maybe they'll buy a head of lettuce or spinach or something like that, and then go home and practice one recipe. Just one. I'm sure you have on your website some recipes. I have on my website recipes.
Yeah.
Start with one recipe and buy the freshest ingredients and integrate it and see how that feels for you. Just one recipe. And also keep in mind that don't worry if you burn something. People burn things in the kitchen all the time. Don't worry if you mess it up. This is practice. We're going to get to play with our food and get to know our food on a more intimate level. And the more you play with it and the more you get to know with it and see this is what's available. This, I could put this into my salad now, right? Or I could put that into my salad. When they start to play with their food and make it fun, it becomes less intimidating.
That's an amazing viewpoint. I haven't heard anyone sort of explain it that well for a newbie getting started out, kind of master that one dish and look into, it's easy to find for people to find farmers markets now because they're everywhere. So if you just Google your area, where I live, I'm in southwestern Ontario, within 10 minutes, there's probably 4 different farmers markets. And, you don't even need to go to a grocery store ever again, because you can get everything you'd want there, from grass-fed beef, chicken, to every vegetable you can imagine, all in one spot. So look for farmers markets. You can do your searches online. You'll be able to find something, I guarantee, nearby. So just wrapping up here now, where can people follow you, see what you're doing, all that stuff?
Well, they can meet me at the farmer's market.
There you go. We'll be there buying eggs.
They could find me at AndreaBeaman.com, and there's blogs and recipes and information and very easy recipes. Like you mentioned that I was on Top Chef, but I'm a homeschooled cook, meaning that I like things simple.
Yeah.
I learned simplicity, and I know that in order to get people into the kitchen, it's got to be simple. It can't be 87 different ingredients.
Yeah.
Right? Just get them in there and get it easy. Go to www.andreabeaman.com, and they'll get a ton of information there.
Cool. I'll link up that stuff on the show notes for this episode after, so people can go back and go right to that. Yeah, it's one of these things, you watch shows like Top Chef or Master Chef or any cooking show, and you see them keep pushing this point of, simple is better, and world-class chefs and Gordon Ramsay, and they're all less ingredients, less is more. And I think people should be able to embrace that in their own kitchens and their own health and everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, to keep people in mind that those shows are edited. So when they see a dish come out in five seconds, right? That's editing. That's not reality.
Good point. It takes me 2.5 hours to make the Cobb salad, so it's not a miracle. So to finish off here, just do a little bit of rapid fire questions. So some of your favorite things. So like favorite TV show.
Oh, actually, I don't have a television. I gave it away about 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I do have a computer.
Anything you like to watch there?
No, I actually like to create content. Like I'm a content provider. So yeah, I'm more on the creative end. So I generally don't watch, although I do love to go and see a good movie once in a while.
Okay. So how about favorite movie?
Oh my gosh, Jaws, top of the list.
Awesome. That was one good thing from the 70s, Jaws.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, favorite artist or musician?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I mean, Led Zeppelin when I was growing up, another good thing that came out of the 70s.
Yeah. Favorite book, either nutrition or non-nutrition or whatever.
Oh God. Oh my gosh. How can I even say? There's so many. I mean, I can't. There's just too many favorite books.
Okay.
There's Pieces Every Step by Thich Nhat Hanh. There's Coach Yourself to Success by Talaine Maidaner.
Yeah.
There's Anything by Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay.
Okay, perfect. You're gonna hate me for this last one then. So if you could only have one dish for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, if it was only one dish for the rest of my life, I couldn't imagine a life like that. I couldn't be in the world with just one food. I couldn't do it. You'd have to just kill me.
Okay, or a favorite just go-to meal or dish.
A favorite go-to meal? I was just telling my husband this morning. I love eggs. I do. I love them scrambled, poached. I love them in custards. I love them in salads. I love eggs. So some kind of egg and something.
Perfect. I love it. Okay. Thank you so much, Andrea, for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jamie.
Awesome. Okay. It doesn't get much better than that. I want to thank Andrea again. Amazing insights. There's tons to take away here. Like I was saying in the last episode with Jonathan Baylor, these are the type shows, go back and listen to them a couple times. There's so many good tips and so many good starting points for you if you're new to getting healthy and well, or if you just need a refresher on what you should be doing if you've sort of strayed away from it. So like if you have these shows downloaded, you can refer back to them anytime. It's what I do with podcasts as well. If I like a specific episode, download it, keep it, and I can always refer back to it. So this is another great example of a great resource of information. So thank you to Andrea. Thank you for listening today. I know there's a ton of podcasts out there, so the fact you listen to this one means a whole lot. And if, like I said, if you like it, leave a rating and review. Make sure to subscribe. That way more people can get in front of all this good information. So in the meantime, make sure to swing by regainedwellness.com. If you can see the other podcasts I have up there, other blogs, everything, guides, all that sort of good stuff. And if you haven't already, make sure to sign up for the email newsletter so I just keep you up to date with everything going on, new episodes, other stuff that I just sort of share through email. And you can get that by going to regainedwellness.com/guide. So when you sign up, I send you off this free ebook I did up that's got, a little more of a breakdown on some foods you want to be including, things you want to avoid. It's got a few recipes, all that good stuff, so you're all hooked up. So that's it for me today. Remember, with your whole health pursuits, your wellness, your fitness, everything, remember in the long run, it's about the progress, not perfection. See you next time.